Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for tonight's team call. Real quick announcement, we have our 3-day refresh group that is starting next Monday, which is June 6th. I'll be making a separate group for that. So everybody that's like in the 3-day refresh info group, that's just for the info. I'm not gonna run a group in there because not everybody has purchased. So once I make the 3-day refresh group that's starting on Monday, you guys are responsible for putting your people in that committed. I don't know who purchased, obviously. I don't know who you guys have. So once I make that group, I'll put that in the team page. Then you can add your people, and then we'll get going for next Monday. So people can obviously still purchase. Just let them know that they might not get it in time for Monday, but they'll still get all of the information that is needed to do the 3-day refresh in that group. All right, so tonight we have the lovely Lisa Hansen. I think most of us know her, but she's going to be doing the team call tonight, so I'm just going to pass it on over to Lisa.
Hey, hi, thank you so much. I think, do we have any brand new coaches on the team? Just kind of put in the comments if you don't know who I am. Okay, good. Everybody does. Okay, good. Not going to cover that then. Hey guys, hope you're doing good. So I've been doing a lot of mentor calls for at least the last month. I've been doing about 10 to 15 a week with different people on the team, going all the way down in the downline. And just kind of thought tonight that I would just bring up some points about what I've kind of been having to consistently say to people to kind of help them in their business. And some of them, you know what to do and you've heard it before, but it just hasn't become something that you're doing on a regular basis. So some of it might just be a reminder. So these are the non-negotiables, and we're just going to go over them just a little bit, and then I'm going to give you some tips. So obviously, you know that you have to post every day. That's a given. And one thing that I really want to be able to stress is you want to vary your posts so that you're not just posting fitness posts over and over again. You want to make sure you go back to those 5 aspects of your brand, which means that one is your health and fitness category, and that will include nutrition and fitness and anything Beachbody related. The other one, the other 4 should be different things about you. They should be mom tips, they should be horseback riding, movies, whatever it is. Make sure that you're using that to be able to vary your posts so that you're not just doing the same thing over and over again. And it's really super important to kind of experiment with that. With your audience and really get to know your audience. And so I have learned over the years what my audience really likes and what they really respond to. They love to talk about gardening and feeding my birds, and I get a lot of interaction with that, and I'm building relationships with those types of non-Beachbody posts so that when I do go to invite for a challenge group or post about Beachbody, they're more apt to engage with me because they have, I've taken the time to get to know them. So one thing that really works super well is asking for people's opinions. People love to give advice, and it can be just something that you think that you're going to go Google or you're thinking about buying. Just pop it up on Facebook and say, hey, what do you guys recommend? It could be something as simple as, hey, I need a new bird feeder that the squirrels won't get into. What do you guys recommend? And you'll get a lot of interactions. And it's important to do that type of post at least once a week because you really can engage with people. One thing that you know, if you were to go to my timeline, it would pretty much look like I'm not really doing much, but I'm having a lot of conversations privately. So I start a conversation starter on my page, and then I bring it into a private message, and I start to have conversations with them. And you want to be having a rolling, good 5 to 10 conversations going at all times privately, not just on your timeline for other people. So, it could be something like, hey, thanks for the referral. I actually got the feeder that you recommended. What kind of birds do you see in your yard? And just kind of strike up a conversation so that when I do have a challenge group to invite them to, we've already had some type of rapport. And I feel really comfortable not coming across salesy because we've built some sort of relationship. And then I might pick up that relationship, that conversation from our last conversation that we had about whatever that might be. Tonight I'm using the example of a bird feeder. But wherever it left off, I might bring it up again, and then I'll say, hey, I've actually really been thinking about you. Before I posted on Facebook, I wanted to invite you to my next challenge group. This is what we're going to be doing. Is this something that you might be interested in? So that's why it's so important to have those types of posts. And a lot of the people that I've been talking to over this last month weren't really doing that. They were doing amazing content. And for the Beachbody model, their posts were epic, and they had a lot of fitness posts, and they did a lot of selfies, and they had a good information, but they were getting like no interaction underneath their posts. And if I scroll on their timeline, it was a lot of Beachbody posts, and I really wasn't getting to know who they are as a person. So if you're just putting post after post, but you're not getting that interaction and engagement underneath it, then that means you're not engaging with your audience, and you need to switch things up a bit. Even if it's taken 2 days off from those types of Beachbody posts to kind of get to know your audience and try something new and try something different. And the reason that we want to be building those relationships is because when someone feels like they have a connection with you, they're not going to blow you off as much and ghost you when you reach out to them, because you've had conversations on their timeline or on your timeline. So enough about that. That's just general and basic, but it's easy to forget, especially if you're a busy mom or you're working. You just want to get you one fitness post up for the day, but it's not going to work unless you're having real conversations with people to build things up. Which brings me to, expanding your audience. Everybody knows that you should be adding new friends every single day. But one of the things that was pretty consistent with the people I've been chatting with, which they were not doing, is making sure that you're not talking to the same audience over and over again, which the majority of the people were. And what was happening was they're not visiting other timelines to bypass the algorithms with Facebook, to bring it active in the news feed. So every day before I even post on Facebook, I go to my friend list and I take a look and I see who I haven't connected with in a while, or who I haven't seen a post in my news feed from for a while. And I pick 5 people and I go visit their timeline. So I click on their name, visit their timeline, and I comment or like one of their posts. What that does is it brings you up in their news feed, and they come up in your news feed. If you're not doing that, it's very likely, especially if you've been noticing that the same people are commenting over and over, or you're seeing the same people in your news feed over and over, you're just in this rut of speaking to the same audience day after day after day. And if you have like 1,000 friends, you could be talking to the same 10 people, which is just crazy to think about the way that they do that. But you have to go visit it should be a non-negotiable every single day. Visit your friend list and go on to new people. Rose is saying, I will unfollow people, still be friends with them, so I'm not seeing the same stuff on your news feed too. Yeah, like if they're not in your target audience, then just unfollow them so they're not taking up your news feed. And it's a good time too to clean up your friend list when you do this. But like I said, I just have an automatic 5. Sometimes I do more. 5 is my minimum that I do every single day. And I'll be like, oh my God, this girl, she was into health and fitness when I went to high school. I haven't seen her post in like months. And I go on her timeline and she is posting every single day. I'm just not seeing it. So you got to make sure that you're doing that. Hashtags on Instagram. Hold on one second. Actually, when your mind's scrolling. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, definitely go to people's pages and like and comment. Okay, so on Instagram, I'm not, you guys have had a lot of Instagram trainings from people who are way better than me, so I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm really good at it. But I will say that I think out of everyone I spoke to over this last month, which is probably at least 20 people from coaches, people aren't utilizing the hashtags to be able to go find people and to be able to see who else is using that hashtag. And that is just a matter of going into Instagram, using the search button, putting in your hashtag mom life, or one that you like to use a lot, and then going to see who else is using that and actively looking for friends. So one of the things that's very common in this business is we get very comfortable with doing what we're supposed to be doing and putting up our posts and putting a lot of time and effort, and then wondering why our business isn't growing, is because we're not taking the time to actively go find people. We're waiting for them to come to us. Here, look at me, I posted this, and aren't I fabulous? You know, I'm doing all this work with Instagram stories, I'm doing all this work with other things, but we're not taking that extra step with actively going to find people who you can invite to the business. So that search area in Instagram is really super important, because first of all, when you go to it, they're automatically going to bring suggestions for you based on what you've already been doing. And then secondly, you can go in and try different hashtags. I wouldn't do coach, I wouldn't do anything Beachbody related, because you're most likely going to spend your time getting other coaches or other people in the field. Go out of that field and do your interests to be able to go find other people who are also doing the same thing you're doing. So I have a lot of people that I have followed with pottery, because I do pottery. And I have a whole new community that I have found through pottery. And I've actually become friends with a few of them. And we started out with me just asking what kind of glazes they were using, or how did they do such a thing. And then I've had a few of them buy Shakeology from me. Haven't gotten any coaches yet from it, but because I took the time to go follow them, the ones that I liked. So less waiting for people to come to you and more finding. Right, making sure that you're contacting all your customers. We've been talking about that a lot. Most of you know that Rose came through, 4 out of my 5 diamonds have come through the customer lead program. And they're all star diamonds. And I've talked about that. That was my last call that I did with you guys. One thing that I will just repeat about that, because I don't want to go too much into it unless you have a question, is that the key to that is not giving up after a couple tries. You have to really keep going. And if you're not getting anywhere with email, if you can, take it over to text or phone call. And taking that extra step. It might be super scary for you. You might have to step out of your comfort zone, but that's what it's going to take to make that connection. And who knows, you know, hopefully it'll work out really well for you. The most important thing when thinking about bringing on new coaches. Okay, so when you think about bringing on a new coach, subconsciously, there can be blocks for this happening, because maybe you've gotten really comfortable with bringing on customers. And bringing on a customer is actually pretty easy. You know, you can sell them a program, you can run a challenge group, and that's easy. But when I was digging around with different mindset and different blockages to why people were having such a struggle finding business partners and signing on coaches, and a lot of people were having this subconscious mindset of I've brought coaches on before and I failed. or I didn't train them right and they quit. I overwhelmed them and it's my fault and they quit. Or I have a doubt that I can even have time to bring on a new coach. And sometimes it's so in there that we don't even know that it's a block. So really taking the time to sit with that and write out, do I have a block? Do I feel good enough to bring on a new coach? And one of the calls I was like, we have to just own it. We're in the top 1% of the company, our team, and are in the top 1% of the company. Rose and I are in the top 1% of the coaches. Like, we are an amazing team that we have the opportunity to invite someone to join us, and not just you joining us. That's, you're inviting someone to one of the, top teams in the whole entire company. So just knowing that is helpful, but also knowing that if you don't know what your onboarding for a new coach is going to look like, if you don't have a system, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have the confidence that you can train a new coach, or like I said, you have failed before, those are all going to be subconscious blocks for you to even be attracting a new coach to join you. Okay, so I'm just going to take a pause for a second. Let's let that sink in for a minute. One thing to remember, and the reason I mentioned the team, is that, especially for newer coaches, when you bring on a new coach, you're not going to be training them alone. You have the support of your upline. You have the support of any of us leaders here can help you. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen people make is they sign on a new coach, and the coach says, I want to work the business. And then they put all their energy into that new coach, and they stop inviting and they stop putting the efforts in to recruit more new coaches. That is definitely a mistake, because what happens is, if that coach doesn't work out for some reason after you've just invested 3 months of your time in with them, then it's like, okay, now I got to get back into recruiting, and I got to get back into the groove of inviting, and I kind of lost it a little bit there. You never want the time that it takes for you to train a new coach to take away from your efforts to invite and recruit a new coach. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So what does that look like? That looks like writing out, do I have a fear of signing on a new coach? Do I worry that I'll fail them? Do I have the mindset that I'm not as good as someone else to be signing and having my own team? Do I have a little bit of doubt that I even know what to do? Do I not even have a plan? I mean, if you sign a rockstar coach tonight, do you have a plan about how you're going to get them set up for success? And if you don't have a plan, then that means you need to talk to one of the leaders on the team and come up with a plan. I was taught until you're 1 star, this was back in the day when I started, until you're 1 star, that your upline trains the coach. And you kind of do it alongside. If you want to do it on your own, that's fine, of course, but just make sure that you have a plan. You should have, we are all own businesses. You need to have a business plan. You should have all written out. What are the steps that you're going to take to make sure that the coach that signs up with you is successful to the best of your ability? And sometimes if we don't even have that system into place, that right there is a block for you to not even be able to sign a new coach. You won't sign a new coach if you don't feel confident that you have a plan. Yes, Leanne, always be recruiting. Did you want to say something, Leah?
Oh no, I just agree. I mean, even if you may not consciously know, I know there's been points at my business where I didn't have certain things in place, and I knew that was like stopping me from actually recruiting, because I felt like I didn't have, the infrastructure to help my coaches. And once I got that into place, it was just like, bam, all of a sudden things started to flow.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a plan, like I said, for customers. That's why the majority of the people will have no problem hitting Success Club points and having full challenge groups, because you have a system. You know exactly what it looks like. You know what they have to buy. You know what you have to do in your challenge groups. You get it down. So you're going to be no blocks there, just bringing on people. It's the coaches that people are struggling with the most, growing their team, that I would say every single person I've spoken with in the last 2 months has said. So you really have to take it, if you want to, we all know that in order to make money in this business long term, you have to have working coaches signed under you. No brainer. You'll have minimal, success. You'll have some success, of course, with a customer base, but it will be short-lived and it won't be passive income, which we all know passive income is pretty freaking amazing, right? So that's what we want. So you have to spend time investigating your own self-sabotaging thoughts and patterns that you had that you might not even know that you have. So that's my next thing, is identifying your self-sabotaging beliefs and question them. So, and there's 2 parts to this, because that's my last thing on my list, is a lot of people will focus on what they need to work on, and they will focus on what they need to improve, or what they feel like they're not good at, or what they suck at, okay? Flip that over. As much as you can, have awareness of those self-sabotaging thoughts to what you're good at. Focus on what you're really good at. So if you hit Success Club 5 and you wanted to hit Success Club 10, don't focus on, oh, I didn't hit Success Club 10. Focus on, that's fantastic. I hit Success Club 5. I helped 3 people, and these are the people that I'm going to help. When it comes to bringing on business partners, all those beliefs, subconscious beliefs that I was talking about before, are really super important. But it's also going to be about, what are the thoughts that you think throughout the day when you think about attracting coaches to join you. Just kind of start to listen to how you talk. And if you don't know how you talk, get on the phone with a success partner or with your upline and answer the question, or just grab a journal and answer the question, how is my recruiting going? And then be honest. What are the words that flow out of your mouth? What are the words that you jot down? Are they words like, it's a struggle, I'm not doing enough, I don't have enough time? These types of things that you're focusing on will create blocks for you to be able to manifest them into your team. Which brings me to the last thing. For the last, at least the first 6 years of my business, I always, every Sunday night, wrote out Ideal Coach, which was the characteristics that I was looking for. And I would read it every single day, morning and night, because I wanted my focus. And then later on, I got a huge whiteboard, and I had it in my office, and I had it written on the whiteboard. And that was the only thing that I focused on every single day. Who I was looking for, and it was like zero, I would walk around the house saying it out loud. And most of us were not brought up with the language of manifesting and the language of positive self-talk. So we do have to train ourselves. And the first step is awareness. And the second step is looking at, replacing those thoughts all the time by having this dialogue with yourself. I give myself little pep talks. Okay, Lisa, today we're gonna go and we're gonna find people who I want on my team, and this is what they are like. And then I would have a whole list of characteristics, and then I would say, I'd read it, and then I would say, okay, let's go find them. I had that attitude. I'm going to go find them. I didn't have the attitude, I'm going to sit back and wait for them to come to me. I wasn't at a buffet, like a sit-down dinner. I was at a buffet. I've used this analogy before on the calls. I had to get up off my ass and go find the people. And that meant also hitting the streets. It didn't mean always, it was a little bit different back then, but you have to look at your area. I did meetups all the time to meet people. I would just go to my local meetup groups. I would join, walking groups for moms. I would just have Go for No Fridays where I would go network with people in my community. I would hit up the acupuncturists, the chiropractors, the gyms, and I would just go talk to people. So I was definitely had the mindset of I'm going to get up and I'm going to go find these people. And something magical happens when you have that mindset is all of a sudden, it seems like they find you, but really the universe is matching your vibration, for those of you who understand vibration, and lining it up for you to be able to meet them. But it is a muscle that you have to work out every single day. If we want to go from lifting 5-pound weights to 20-pound weights, you don't go from 5 to 20. You do a little bit at a time, and the next thing you know, you're lifting 10, then you're doing 15, and then you're doing 20. Your mind is a muscle that you have to reprogram on a daily basis, which is why I read my list every single day. Okay, so those are just some basics that I wanted to go over today, but I also wanted to leave time for any questions that anyone might have, or if there is an area that you're struggling with that if you're brave enough, we can kind of talk about it now and kind of dive into that. I also wanted to let you know that the majority of my business right now is mentoring. So if you have a desire to get on the phone call with me, you are invited to, at any time, message me and we'll set up a call and we'll kind of break through these blocks and help you come up with a plan and help you to be able to get to the point where you're just feeling more confident in your business, and then you can start to see some growth. But if you have any question, you can either write it in the chat box or you can just start speaking.
Thanks for that offer, Lisa. That's so helpful for all of us. And all your tips. I mean, I think we all need those reminders all the time. One thing that I see a lot of coaches making, and you touched upon it a little bit, and if you can kind of talk about it a little bit more, is when they do get a new coach and they say they're all in, and then nothing happens, and then they get defeated, and then they go into that mindset of, I'm not good at this coaching thing. Like, how do you then move on to continue to find those people without that last person that, oh, I wasted all this time. Why am I going to do this with somebody else?
Yeah, so I take each opportunity as a learning opportunity for growth. So I do the Grow Pro with everything I do in the business, and I evaluate it and I self-evaluate. Most likely, almost all the time that has happened for me in particular, it's because I wasn't all in, or I attracted them at a point in time when I wasn't feeling very confident, or I was going through something. So we will attract our level. So it's a reflection. It's a good time to mirror back to us what we need to step up in our own business, because it will be a match to where you're at. So I say, okay, wow, I just like have this really super whiny person. Where in my life have I been really super complaining or not happy, and where do I need to change it? So I'll take a little bit of time to evaluate. And if you're brave enough, you might, and I've done this before, is I'll ask the person, hey, you're all in the beginning and then it kind of phased out. Can you kind of, would you be willing to share with me what happened for you? Not a lot of people will just, oh no, it wasn't you. It was just, it's just busyness or whatever. But then after I do that, then I will sit down and say, okay, these are all the characteristics that they had that I do want. And these are all the characteristics that they had that I don't want from my next person. So I use it as a learning opportunity, and then I rewrite my list. And I just say, okay, what are the opposites of someone like this? So they were all in the beginning, and then after 3 months, they fizzled out. So on my new list that I'm going to write they're a lifer. They fall in love with these products, and they stay with me long term for years. I get really super clear. You can use the information that you have. And then if I was feeling really super defeated and I needed a boost, I would get on the phone with my mentor. I would make sure that I do something to boost myself up. But I don't just forget about it. I don't like to take that baggage into my next person, because you're just going to repeat it over and over again. You have to clean it up a bit. It's kind of like taking the baggage from the previous relationship you had into your new relationship. If you don't do some time to clean that up, you're going to repeat the same patterns in your next relationship. These are relationships. So clean it up, and then before you get ready for the next person.
Perfect. And then what are the signs for you to stop putting your energy into those people that aren't taking that action step? Move forward. They say they want it. They're not showing the actions. You keep putting all your energy in. 6 months later, you're at the same point. When do you know it's time to, as we say, bless and release?
I just let them know right from the beginning that I'm going to match their efforts. So they're going to set the pace, and I'm not shy about letting them know that from the beginning. In the very beginning, I give them no more than 2 to 3 things to actually do. And then I see how fast they do those things. And that tells me right off the bat what type of personality they have. And so if a week goes by and we're talking the next week and they haven't done 2 out of those 3 things, then we need to have a conversation about that. And then if that's continuing to happen, then I would probably, I definitely wouldn't be having weekly calls with them. I'd be putting them in groups or just putting them in the team. I have the mindset that they have to earn the time that I put in with them. So after 90 days, if they're not signing up people and they're not growing as a person and they're not hitting stuff, then I just let them know, okay, you have a team page, and make sure you get on the team calls, and I'm here if you need me, but I'll stop the call sometimes as quickly as 30 days. It's just discernment. You have to know that you're leading from the front and people are following you from behind. It's not the other way around. You're not standing in the back and pushing them. It's not your job to motivate anybody. And that was a big lesson I had to learn in my business from a really amazing mentor that we had in the beginning. His name was Craig Holliday. And in one of our mentoring calls, it was a group mentoring call with Keith Callahan and Jesse Vandenberg and Bob Lucido and myself. And I said, we've all heard this, I think. I said, I can't seem to motivate my people. And he was the one who just said to me, that's not your job. You be motivating and you do what you do and you be available to them, but it's not your job to be pushing them all the time to be able to do it. Because when you get someone who is going to run with this business, you know it, and it's fun, and they chase you. And I see 3 lovely ladies all lined up here on my screen anyway, Rose, Leah, and Amanda. They fit those descriptions. So they're the ones that are going to be asking for my time, begging for my time, wanting what's more, what can I do, what can I do? And those are the type of people that you want. So put that on your list. You want people chasing you, not the other way around. You shouldn't have to be messaging people all the time, asking them if they're going to do anything. because all that energy that you're funneling into that can be used to recruiting the rock star coaches who you don't have to do that for. We always have to be conscious. If we get 100 units of energy a day, we know that a large chunk of that, if you have kids, is taken right there with your kids. And then if you have a spouse, there's another chunk. And then if you have work, that's another chunk. How many units of energy do you have left at the end of the day to put into your Beachbody business? And you want to say, okay, if I have 20% of my energy of the day to work on my Beachbody business, and I have an hour to work on it, do you want that hour to be following up with the people that that haven't done anything for the last 6 months, trying to motivate them to do something miraculously overnight? I mean, come on, don't be stupid. Like, if everything that you've been doing hasn't been motivating them till now, what do you think is going to change overnight? Go get new people that are naturally going to do that and put all that 20% energy that you have into that, so that it becomes fun again. Because when you get someone like that, oh my God, it's magic and it's fun. And you can't wait. Oh my God, they texted me again. They have another question. They have another sign up. And it becomes, oh my God, so much more fun. So take that energy, unplug it from the things that aren't growing your business, and plug it into finding the people that will grow your business. Don't know if I answered you, but that's where my head went.
Hey, freaking men. No, you hit the nail on the head. I don't know if you saw Lisa Humphrey's comment or question, kind of.
Okay, so Lisa, would you be willing to post in team page maybe an outline of what you do when you onboard a new coach? Sure. Say after you give them those two things, then what is it that they are going to do? Yeah, and definitely any of the leaders could be, sharing what they do. I think everyone's a little bit different. I know I've talked about this before on one of the calls, so I won't go too much into it. But I evaluate a person's before I give them things to do. So I have 1 or 2 phone calls. I've studied the Personality Plus books early on in my business. If you haven't read it, it's Personality Plus by Florence something. And so I've gotten really good at recognizing how they're going to be responding. But if you don't know that, there's certain things that you can do. So I'm just kind of, hey, so excited for you to try this. The first thing is obviously try your psychology, start with the program. We're going to look at your Facebook. How often have you been posting? How comfortable are you posting on Facebook? And then we're going to be looking at, okay, so we need to commit at least an hour a day to Beachbody if possible. What does your life look like right now? Tell me what it's like. Like, I have to evaluate how much I can give them. If I overload them with a shitload of stuff, but they get 3 kids under the age of 5 and they work a job, and I'm setting them up for failure right from the beginning if I'm giving them unreasonable stuff that they can't even fit into their life. So the first thing I want to do is detangle that and say, okay, what are you willing to give up to fit in an hour? Can you do an hour before you watch TV with your husband at night? Can you get up an hour earlier in the morning? That came up a lot in 1 week for some reason, or 2 weeks. I was talking to on mentoring calls, and I was talking to a bunch of the coaches on the team who are like beating themselves up over and over and over and over again every single day because they had it in their head that they had to get up an hour early before the kids got up to do Beachbody. But every day they would fail because every day either they wouldn't get up because they were so tired, or they would get up and the kids would get up, and then they couldn't do anything anyway. And I was like, why don't you just let that go? Phew, take that burden off your shoulders. Don't get up. Don't get up. And it was freeing. Like, oh my God, I never even thought about that. Like, okay, let's find a time where you can do an hour, because most of us that have kids, I don't know, my kid always got up whenever I get up. I don't know, it's just like some magical radar that she had. Oh my God, mom's up, you know. And that's not the same for everybody. But anyway, so what I did was I softened the edges for her. Just kind of, oh, I give you permission to do it during nap time or TV time later in the day. Oh, I can do that. That was her response. You know, see the difference? And it was so freeing. Anyway, I got off on a tangent. That's not what I was talking about. But, you know, so I'm going to help them to find where they're going to fit this into their life and help them weave it into their life and how to talk to people. And then I'm going to take a good look at their Facebook page to see, to get, you know, if they're not posting every day, that's going to be their first thing. Okay, your first assignment is to post every single day this week. You know, so my approach is a little different. I ease into it. If I have somebody who's already posting a lot on Facebook, has a few hours a day, I'm going to go much faster with that person than I am with someone else. So hopefully that started a little bit, Lisa, with thinking.
Anybody else with questions, comments? Chirp, chirp.
So one of the things I have gotten really good at over the years, and I find that it's one of my strengths for sure, is to be able to help people identify and overcome any self-limiting and sabotaging beliefs. So if you feel like you've been putting a lot of effort in and really not getting anywhere, again, that invitation is always open to reach out to me and we'll set up a call. And Lisa says, thanks. Great, thanks, Ashley, I'm glad. Because sometimes it's literally just a couple of shifts in mindset that will open up the floodgates for you to start having things really move in your business.
Awesome. If everyone, I know some people are like busy in their camera. I want to take a picture for Instagram. So put your pictures on real quick and we'll smile and I'll tag everyone. Everyone done their hair? Good? 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. All right, Lisa, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, I would not be here if it wasn't for you. And what Lisa said too, like whenever I felt like I was doing things, something wasn't working, or I got too down on myself, I reached out to her right away. And I definitely think that was number one of why I succeeded in this, because I had her, number one, and number two, I was willing to ask for that help, not like, I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent now, but not ask like every single thing, like, what do I say about this or that or this or that? It was when I really needed her, like, especially if like the end of the month, I'm struggling, that's all me getting in my head. And that's where she was able to help me just get out of my own head. And then boom, things would just click. So it wasn't that I hope I wasn't pestering Lisa, but I was definitely using her skills to help overcome my bad mind, negative self-talk. So.
Yeah, we all get there. Russell Brand has a new book called Mentors, and he talks about all the different mentors that helped him in his life and throughout his struggles and stuff. And we all need it. And if it's not me, I hope that you all at least have that one person you can go to when you're struggling or you're not hitting, you're not signing up people, you're not being able to sign up coaches who are going to work the business. Don't be out there thinking you need to do this or that you can do this all on your own. We all need, no matter who we are, we all need someone to go talk to about it. And if you don't have that on a regular basis, you really need to. It's definitely key. Having a really good mentor or a really good success partner is key in this business.
Definitely.
Thanks, Rose, for having me.
Welcome. Thanks, everyone. I'll post a recording as soon as I can. See y'all next week. Bye.